Hey, hello, and welcome everybody to our Mastering RMM series. And we're going to continue this week to talk more about how we want to set up the sites, the companies, the policies, and packages, because that's been more frequently asked by our partners, and they wanted to learn the best practices. So here we are with this series today to talk about that. So let's start with the basic. The very first thing we recommend is to make sure that you have got your companies and sites created. So every partner who's been migrated over to ConnectWise SSO, they get the feature for using the company and site management, which is going to be the centralized core data model for ConnectWise to use it across all the products we have. So for now, we have RMM in there. So from the browsing perspective, you can see on the left navigation menu, you will see there is a company management section under the client management out there. Now, two things. We can actually create companies by company. So it's a hierarchy that is going to be built in the system, which is at the partner level, would have a company, every company would have a site, and every site would have their endpoints. So this is the hierarchy that we are going to be maintaining it moving here. So first thing first, let's get a company created. If you have a company already created, and you would like to add another location or a site, or you want to segregate the data into groups, you can always use sites instead of going ahead and creating a brand new company. So here for this example, we are going to use company where you would like to start with. So you click on the company management screen. On the right-hand side, there is the Add Company button. And when you click on it, there's a basic form, and we can go through a live demo as well. It's fairly simple form. You can just fill in the company details. And by default, you are also going to go ahead and create a site with that. And that site is basically your primary location for that thing. But in case, because you're starting new, adding up more of your clients and more of your sites in there, in that case, you could use our bulk upload functionality. So in case you would like to use the bulk upload functionality, there's a little download button that you see. I've denoted that with number 1. And number 2 is when you fill that CSV, you could just import that information in the console using the upload functionality that allows you to create hundreds of sites in just one single click, and you can use Excel or to just fill that data in. Now that your companies and sites are created, the next thing that we want to do is understand what's the basic difference between policy, package, and policy group. While working with partners, we understand that there is a slight bit of confusion here. So I kind of populated all the three together. So what is a policy? Policy is basically set of configuration per domain area. What I mean by domain area, it means it's either patching or your standalone policy or your web root policy or your communicator, your server patching, desktop patching. All these are domain areas, and what you're doing is basically setting up and defining the configurations against that. They're pretty independent, reusable component. That's one of the fundamentals to make something as a part of the policy. If we can repurpose and reuse it across multiple sites, it definitely makes sense to make it as a part of the policy. Part 2, where policy kind of rolls up, is the packages, where you can have multiple policies put together in one motion, which is through a package. So think about packages as a vehicle to assign something in bulk to a site. Now, you could apply that to all sites, or you may want to go ahead and say, if I want to set some different configurations for a few of these endpoints, that's where we recommend policies. So packages is basically every device at that site would kind of inherit that configuration that's been defined over here. And lastly, policy group, it is kind of a layering in between. So let's assume that you have a site. You have Windows 10 and Windows 11 machines. You want a different set of configurations to apply to Windows 10 devices, and Windows 11 devices should have a different settings applied. This is just an example. That's not what ConnectWise recommends, but in case if you would like to have that, what you could do is you could create a policy group and put all those Windows 10 devices in the one group and Windows 11 device in one group, and you could have a different policy applied to it, which means the first one in here, the configurations in terms of how that functionality should work. Policy groups, again, they're defined by type. So you could have a different group for doing just patching, a different group for which is doing just the communicator piece of it, different group that just S1 and rest of them can still apply through the site's configuration. And again, they're pretty dynamic in terms of definition. So every time you define the criteria, every device that meets that criteria will be automatically pulled over by the policy groups here. So again, you might have seen the slide. I would have added it multiple times just to make sure that we are all clear with the hierarchy. The very top of it is the ConnectWise default, and the default is always turned off. Next is the package, and when you're creating a package, you will see a little checkbox over there which says default. If that checkbox is selected, that means it is the default one. So every time you create the company and site, or you do the bulk import, as we saw in the earlier slides, the default would automatically get applied to it, right? And then we have the site definition. Site is basically when you are applying a package, a specific package at the site level, that's when the site gets in a picture. Next is the group, which is your policy group. You may be able to define that based on each domain roles or domain areas. You could see it at group level. And last but not the least is the overrides. Those are technically on the endpoint level itself. So you're just kind of overriding that data with the information. So very quickly, we'll go through what is creating a policy looks like. So on your left navigation menu, again, under settings, you will have policies out there. So you can create policy per domain area. So you see a button over there that says add policy. You may be able to click on the button. You will see the options available. Just name the policy which you're defining. And here in this example, if you see, I have 2 policies for desktop and 1 policy for communicator that's been created, and I can have those things out here. Again, there is no limit in terms of creating policies. And if you create policies, they do not get applied unless you apply or include them in a package. So feel free to create different configurations as policies, which you can include them in your packages, which we are going to talk in the next slide. And here we are for packages. So assignment of policies really comes from packages. So here is the checkbox that I was, here's the set as default checkbox that I was talking about in our earlier slide, which is the default at the partner level, right? So any new company or site that are going to be added, they will automatically inherit that. But basically, it's a drag and drop kind of a functionality. On the right-hand side, you will see all your policies that are created in the system. And you can see here, I have collapsed it and showing something that says at device level and site level. Certain policies are meant to be applied at the device level, which is the most granular function that you can go for. And there is a function at the site level that you can go for. You cannot have something at the endpoint level over there. But assignment of policies to packages is pretty neat, simple. You just need to drag and drop on the left-hand side, and the system will only retain one of the types. So if I have a communicator policy out here, if I would like to swap that with something else, I just need to drag that in. The earlier one is going to be kind of replaced with the new item that you added in the package details. And again, we don't have any limits in terms of creating packages, but as you're trying to set up for your new clients, not necessarily you need to always create a new package. That's always a confusion. Like, do I need to create packages every time when I'm adding a new client? The answer is no. The whole point of creating this package is so that you can repurpose them as many times as you wish. And if you have multiple companies or sites being associated with this package, anytime you make a change in the package, it automatically distributes across every site where it's been applied to. So this is a easier and healthier way to quickly make changes across sites instead of trying to do that manually all the time. Here are some of the documentation material that you can refer to, but I'm gonna try and get to the companies and site screens that you see here. So I'll again show the navigation, open the left navigation pane. Under client management, there is company management option, and it pulls up this entire companies list. You can add as many companies as you wish, but the point is, when you're creating company, that's the first hierarchy. Under the company, there is the concept of site. So when you click on company, you have site, and under company also you can add site. So I'm going to try showing you adding a new site first, and then we'll go back to company. So if you click on the Add Site button, this little drawer opens up. Sorry, the the drawer opens up here, and it'll allow you to just type in the site name, the unique ID. Other attributes are optional. You may just basically fill that in, and you should be good with that. In case you want to edit the company details, you have a button over here, or you can always go back to the company's listing page. You can select a company and then list that information out. If you would like to add a new company, here's the button. It says Add Company. When you click on the Add Company button, now you notice here there is the company details at the very top, but it is also associated with the site detail because adding a site with the company is mandatory. We don't want you to just go ahead and create a company and miss the site. You won't be able to install or download agents for that. And I was talking about the bulk imports. Now, here's the download button where you can download the CSV. It's a basic form. What you see on the UI, it's pretty much similar to that. And when you are done with updating the CSV, you can go on the Actions button. There is the bulk upload CSV option available. It prompts you to select the CSV that you have updated, pull that in, and system will go ahead and create those companies in bulk for the requested items that are made available in the CSV file. Now, that covers your company and site that should have the very basic or fundamental fields available in the system. We're going to talk about the policies and packages here. So again, on the left navigation, you have packages and policies. We'll first talk about policy in here. So policy is basically the configuration as we talked about, and each domain has its own policy configuration. So you can always click on the Add Policy button. The Add Policy button would give you a little form in here. The categories are the minimum version that you want to set with. There are different types available. You can see here, these are the different kind of policies available. I can go for site, and you can see the site level policies available. And if you notice on the right-hand side, this kind of section keeps changing based on what I select here. If I go for devices based on what is available, and you can turn it on or turn it off from here. So once you got your policies created, and again, there is no limit to setting up your policies, but the definition that we would suggest or recommend here is create policies that makes things easier for you, which you could apply that across multiple sites or multiple packages instead. So it's easier for management overheads out here. Now, when you get into packages, as mentioned, packages are accumulation of multiple policies. You can click on the Add Package button. On the right-hand side, you will see all the available policies that you've created so far. And from there, you can say, I want to see the devices level one. So let's take this example, Axiom. I drag and put the basic Axiom installation. But if I feel like OpenR's demo, kind of the policy, the earlier one, which you see there, basic Axiom, that will be thrown out from there. It can only keep one set of configuration in the system just to avoid that which policy overrides the other one. So it will always be just one-to-one relationship. You set this box, it's highly recommended. You have a default one, which is like a pretty safe configurations like your PSA, your RMM enablement, your basic version of patching if you would like to include, and then you could have a more sophisticated version through the policy groups if you would like. But our recommendation is that there should be something that the system will fall back on. And that's where we recommend having a default to have something out there. The assignment part is pretty simple. You go to the sites, you'll see the list of all the sites available. You can pick and choose the one which you would like to apply, get to the assigned packages. I can select it and I can click on the assign button. It just gives you a notification that whatever you have applied earlier to the policies, it's going to replace. I'm going to accept that. And real time, I've applied those changes to these sites. And you can see here the package name shows up. In case you want to go more granular to that, there is policy groups available. Here are all the device level or endpoint level functionality available. And we have already covered this in one of our previous slides, previous mastering sessions. So you can definitely refer to that if you would like. But here is the hierarchy that you could go and create in terms of defining what kind of policies apply to what kind of devices. It's always bottom-up evaluation. So in this example, default patching gets applied first, then active servers, then active emitter, then device and policy groups, and then it goes to site, and then it goes to the default, and then it goes to the partner level default. So we keep reevaluating this in real time as soon as we detect some changes happening on the machine or some changes that qualifies that machine to be a part of the policy group or not to be a part of the policy group in here. And sorry, here are some of the documentation material that I have kind of gathered. You can scan these items. You should be able to get them to the documentation that gives you a step-by-step guide through completing these activities. And to this, we are going to continue tomorrow as well. So feel free to join us tomorrow to continue our mastering sessions, and we're going to cover that out. Thank you.